Let's bring the coach in and get his thoughts on what happened in Game 7 and now what has to happen for the franchise. Coach, it's a very reactionary town. When something that happens, they want something changed. What did we see in Game 7 that has us talking today about the offseason?
Well, it really, like what you saw, I have to, just be honest and say, to me, it's inexplicable what you saw. Could the Sixers have lost Game 7, let's say, under a certain set of circumstances where you would put it in the category one of those things, the unusual happens. Home teams win Game 7 a huge amount of the time. So I'm going to say it this way. If you had asked me beforehand, how can the Sixers possibly lose Game 7? I'd say, well, Trae Young, who's a terrific player, has a monster. And their second-best player, Bogdanovich, plays Tano. They split, 65 to 70 points between them. But as you know, Trae Young was 5 for 23. He was fair at best. And Bogdanovich barely played. He played 20 minutes, scored 4 points, 2 for 8 from the field. So, you'll have to explain to me how the Sixers could possibly lose that game. For me, it can't happen.
Yeah, very inexplicable. I like the word. I guess, everybody is saying, okay, Ben Simmons, he did not have a good game. That's obvious. He didn't have a good series, and they won games in the series. So is it as simple as Ben didn't play well in Game 7, hence they lost?
No, I guys have to do this, Mike, and I know it's going to sound like I'm coming to Ben's defense. I'm not. Ben played poorly. He cannot be invisible like that. However, I'm going to make a statement, and then I'll follow it up with 2 thoughts. The statement is the following. The 76ers lost Game 7, plain and simple, because Kevin Huerter was by far the best offensive player in the building on Friday night. Correct. Kevin Huerter, who 3/4 of the people listening right now never heard of before this series started. The Sixers played tremendous defense, believe it or not, in that game. But to quote Doc Rivers, they were horrendous at the offensive end. And to be that bad as they were on offense is way more than Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris, horrendous. Joel Embiid, horrendous. Yes. That's how bad they were offensively when Kevin Huerter literally by himself beat the Philadelphia 76ers Game 7 at home in Wells Fargo.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Obviously, I was in the building that night, and you're looking around, and you're like, hey, what do I do here? So what could have been done differently? Seth Curry's matched up on him. George Hill, it seems that they kept finding the mismatch. Is it that Huerter just was that outstanding, or did the Sixers not have the right plan once he got going?
Well, yeah, I don't even want to go there. To give Huerter credit. By the way, this is the same Kevin Huerter who one game in this series scored, are you ready? How about 0 points? Okay? That's how good, who we're talking about. This is not exactly the next coming of LeBron James. I think Huerter's a good player. But my point is, let Huerter, fine. Somebody is welcome to have a good game, but you can't respond at the other end of the court? Really, do you know how bad this offensive performance was by this team? It's so much more than just Ben Simmons. As bad as somebody sitting listening right now thinks that Ben Simmons was, okay, I'll accept it. You ready? Tobias and Joe are on the same doorstep with them. And I hate to bury guys, but that's what I saw, plain and simple.
Well, and I guess, all right, you're looking at this team struggle offensively, and I guess we'll go back to, hey, the point guard helps flow the offense. Did the rest of the guys struggle because he was struggling? Or why were Harris and Embiid – Embiid scored 29, 30 points. He had 8 turnovers.
Mike, he had 8 turnovers, 3 of which he threw to the other team, like starting our fast break. Come on, give me a break. And in Tobias's case, I don't care what you're running. All of a sudden, Tobias is free under the basket for a layup that you're going to make literally in a CYO game.
Yeah.
Please, it's 3 stone-cold open layups. It's his Game 7 of a series in the NBA to send you to the Eastern Championship. Come on, I don't want to hear it.
Oh, I can agree with that 100%. I mean, he's 8 for 24, and how many layups? I'm saying, oh my gosh, you're missing some bunnies here.
Well, so when you start putting all this together, I mean, please. I mean, these are your star guys. These three guys are making their own contracts to make over $400 million. I mean, come on, Mike. My expectation is, guys, I can go out on Broad Street and get guys to put a uniform on. I need you to play when the lights come on, when the pressure's the most. This moment, plain and simple, you tell me. It was too big. They were not ready to answer the bell in a big moment.
So isn't that troubling if this is the same crew you've had for 3 with Tobias, but Ben and Joel? If that's the answer, does Daryl Morey have to consider that this moment was too big for those guys?
You heard my word in the beginning. It's inexplicable. I've watched a lot of basketball. I know how good these guys are. How can they not? I mean, they already won the game they had to win. Game 6 on the road, having, the monkey on your back in Atlanta. They won it. They should have walked out, revel in the crowd, and just knock this team off the block, please. And
yeah.
I can't explain how they didn't do it. I know how good these guys are. Yes, Joel was impaired. You're not supposed to have anywhere near the kind of turnovers he had. Come on, Ben, you can't be invisible. Tobias, please, make your whole life.
Coach Jimmy Lynam, this is, the future now moves forward here. We look forward. Okay, that was Game 7. Inexplicably disappointing.
For a second. Okay, I'm sorry, Mike. Say again. I lost you for a second. My car's acting up.
Yeah, so Game 7, inexplicably disappointing. So is it so disappointing that you have to consider shaking this team up, or do you say, I know what you say. I watch a lot of basketball, and these guys can do it. Do you bring that crew back and say, I know they can do it, I'm going to bring it back, or no, it's time to do something?
Yeah, it's obviously your question is on point. It's a great question. I don't have the answer. I'm still in shell shock. If I were a decision maker or party to the decision, I'd need a little time to process it. Daryl Morey and his guys, and with the coaches, with Doc, they're going to have to take a little while. I still believe in this team. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not going to tell anybody they're crazy if they come back at me and say, come on, Simmons has done this over and over. How can you expect different results? I think the dramatic end of this thing is going to force a lot of people to face a lot of reality, and Ben included. Mm-hmm. Now, is that enough to get him from being a 33% free throw shooter in the playoffs to a respectable, let's say, 2 out of 3, 66? By taking a different approach this summer? I can't answer that, but I'm just speaking from the heart when I say, If I owned this team, I would not be ready, and I was the decision maker, I would not be ready to abandon. No, I believe in this team. Now, does that mean you don't have to make some tweaks here and there? No, I think you do. Yeah. The bench, let's be honest, was disappointing, and I've been a champion of the bench all year long. Not good enough. Not good enough in this series.
Well, you coach, so let's look at from that aspect. If you're the coach and here's Ben where he is, and I think there was an article where Jimmy O'Brien said, hey, where has Ben improved? And the room is silent. If you're the head coach and he's back and he's the same player for the 4th year that he was the 3rd year as he was the 2nd year, how do you get more from that?
I don't know if I understood that question. How do you get more from what?
How do you get him to give you more than what he's currently giving you?
Yeah, good question. Oh, well, to me, that answer is obvious. You have to go about the program, meaning improving his areas of deficiency in a different way than has been going on for the last 4 years. You got to flip the switch.
Yeah.
All right, turn the channel. Mm-hmm. You go from watch. This is not original. You turn the channel. You go from Frankenstein to Disney. Just turning the channel. Yeah, it's that simple. Different approach. Totally different. What you've been doing hasn't been working. Forget putting videos up of you playing nonsense, 3-on-3 or whatever, making 3-point shots. Forget that. No. We got to get your foul shot. We're at crunch time. You can go out and make 2 out of 3 free throws.
I mean, if you were to be the coach and you see these videos and you're the coach and you see him pregame shooting the ball We've all seen him making the three, shooting the corner.
Yeah, we do. Agreed, yes.
So
yes.
would you not approach him and say, Ben, I've seen you make this shot. What is holding you back from doing this in the game?
Yeah, again, you're right on target. He does make these shots pregame. He does put in time in these summers, but that whatever has been done and up to this point in time has been unable to like flip the switch to get him to play. And I'm going to use the word, a normal game of NBA basketball, meaning you're open at 14 feet, you jump in the air and shoot a ball. So whatever takes place, I'm not suggesting he's going to play 5-on-5 in the summer league. No, that's not needed. But somehow he's got to play some structured, organized basketball, in my opinion, albeit it could be 3-on-3, it could be just half court, but he has to participate in a 3-on-3 game like 99.9999% of people who are going to play 3-on-3 this afternoon in gyms throughout the world. When you're open for a jump shot, you jump in the air and shoot a ball.
Well, I guess another question that people ask me all the time. I never coached in the NBA. You did. You call a play and say, I want you to come off this catch and shoot, and it doesn't happen. You know.
Hold on. Let me ask you. I got to stop you. Why are you assuming that somebody called a play for him to come off with a catch and shoot? Why are you assuming that?
Oh, I'm not. I'm just saying. So if I said, I'm going to call this play and I want you to catch and shoot, if you do not, this will happen. My question, I guess, is, are we past that where a coach can do that and actually have that heavy-handedness and dictate that? Or do these players have so much power that you cannot say, like Brett said, I want you to shoot one a game? That didn't happen. Can I call a play that says, hey, I trust you. I'm going to call a play because I trust you so much to take that shot, and if you don't, you're going to sit next to me. Can that not happen in today's world?
No, of course it can happen, but watch. I would suggest, just like it's no different, I think, in anything, this is me, you can beat your kids over the head or you can get them on board, where you're trying to, a common goal. We understand, we're in this together, dude. All right, the same thing with Ben Simmons. I think he's at a point where he realizes what you just said makes sense. I would just tweak one thing that you just said. I don't ever need Ben Simmons to come off a screen and be a catch-and-shoot guy. Ever, okay? You don't need that.
Right.
That's the same kind, and I'm not trying to be a wise guy with you.
Oh, sure.
It's the same kind of conversation that I had to listen to for 4 years about three-point shooting. You ready? I don't ever need Ben Simmons to take a three-point shot. What I need him to make a foul shot in clutch time.
Yeah.
And to do that, to have a foundation whereby he can go up confidently and make a free throw, I think what he needs to shoot a pull-up jumper off the dribble. So, yes, let's do your thing, have a play where he gets a ball in his hands on a wing and comes off somebody, and he takes 2 dribbles in the middle of the court, gets to 14 feet, jumps and shoots a ball.
Yeah. Oh, and a lot like, it's funny because I watched him in the summer league in these videos the other day, and 5 times in that summer league, he comes off the screen at the elbow, pulls up, swish, and you're thinking, what happened to that part of your game? We've never seen that part consistently. He's maybe done it once or twice in an NBA game.
Agreed.
Yeah. Obviously, he's got to get past that. I didn't realize this, Coach, that he shot 70% from the free throw line his rookie year in those playoffs. He went from 70, he's down to 30. He was 60 in the regular season. If he shoots 60 in this series, the series they would have won in 4 games had he simply shot his average. So that's a big problem here, is the free throw shooting. And I guess the free throw shooting manifested itself to the rest of his game. Can that be restored?
You're absolutely right. I think it did. I think it started the whole spiral for him personally. Unfortunately, I think it was contagious. Somebody can tell me I'm crazy.
No,
Joel Embiid.
I agree exactly with what you just said, Coach. I think the rest of the team realized we are who we are because of who he is, and he's not who he is, so therefore we are not who we are right now.
Yeah, and Mike, and picture what you just said. I'm listening to you, okay? You watched him shoot jumpers off the dribble at the elbow in the Vegas Summer League. I was there. I remember that. Shoot 70% as a rookie in a playoff setting, okay? I have a brother who has a great phrase. He said, when you fall down that rabbit hole and start sliding, it's real, real tough to grab hold. And that's where I think this guy is. I think he slid mentally, and he's right now. You heard him say it after the game. I have to get myself right mentally. And somehow, with the help of this team, as it pertains to his basketball game, that's what he has to do. That's the start of getting him back to where he can be. Now, whether that is the 76er or not remains to be seen.
Definitely remains to be seen. I guess everybody would wonder, if you're an organization, do you have faith that you can regain that mentally? I mean, they tried that with one guy before and it didn't work, and he's down in Orlando now.
Yeah, and in one sense, a very fair parallel on your part, but in a second sense, let me be a wise guy. Mickey Mouse and Mickey Mantle. Come on. Ben Simmons he's an all-world caliber player in what he does, please. But I have to be honest, to those detractors out there, I hear you, meaning his flaws are so dramatic that even though these great other things he does, what comes out in the wash at the end of the day is very questionable as how good is this guy in terms of the goal of being, we want to win a championship.
I don't know that there's been a more polarizing player ever than this gentleman here. But that being said, they have other issues, obviously. You don't get knocked out in the second round, as Morey said. And by the way, he said if we're just squeaking by in the second round, we're probably not good enough to win a championship. So that could have been fine. We get by Atlanta, but you might get the floor wiped up by Milwaukee here because you're a little far away from where they are. So what does this?
Yeah. By the way, I have to interject, Mike. I don't buy that. If there was ever a year where somebody can win a championship that might be, let's say, a little compromised, this is it. I think this team was ready to win a championship. Yes, I do. That's just me.
Okay, I agree. I'm just, that's what Morey said yesterday. He said if we're just squeaking by, maybe we're not good enough anyway. So that being said, you mentioned the bench, but do they need to upgrade something in the starting? Danny Green, do you bring him back? Do you say no, the younger? Because Morey indicated that they have younger players that they think could really take a jump next year. Do you agree with that instead of finding another way to improve the starting lineup?
Yeah, I'd have to know exactly. I assume Tyrese Maxey would be at the front of that list, and rightly so. I think he had a terrific year. He had one really outstanding playoff game. There should be a high expectation that he's going to do nothing but get better. But what other, players he's talking about in terms of young guys who are, ready to come in and play at a high level at this time of the year? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Should be an interesting offseason. And it was great catching up with Coach Jimmy Lynam here on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash as the Sixers have a lot of soul-searching, I think, would be the way to kind of put it. And, Coach, we always appreciate you jumping on board.
Always fun, Mike. Anytime, buddy.